Hey there everyone, HugeGM here coming at you with a giant Warlock deck. This deck was made by Kolento and he is a legend player in Europe. He was legend last season, he was ranked 1 or 2 and he is now ranked 1 or 2 again. And this is his giant Warlock version. This deck has been sort of talked about and played a little bit, and we've seen it here and there, but now it's becoming much more common, and I wanted to get a version that was, really good, really consistent, and from one of the best players. So this is his deck. Credit goes to him. I'm merely just spreading the word about it and sharing it with you guys, and I think it will be much more common after this patch that we'll be getting tomorrow. And if you guys don't know what that is, go look it up, but you'll see why this deck will become very common after that change. Alright, so let's just get into the deck. We have on the top row here are basically all your removal, all your spells. We have 2 Soulfire, 2 Mortal Coil, 2 Shadow Bolt, 2 Hellfire, 1 Shadow Flame, and 2 Siphon Soul. In the midsection here we just have, 2 really awesome legendaries. We have Sylvanas Windrunner and Lord Jaraxxus. I think I really love these cards and they're really great in this deck. And then next, beneath that, we have, a big monster lineup here as well. We have the 2 Ironbeak Owl. We have Blood Mage Thalanos, also really great in this deck. We have 2 Ancient Watcher, 2 Sun Fury Protector, 2 Earthen Ring Farseer, 2 Defender of Argus, 2 Twilight Drake, 2 Mountain Giant, and 2 Molten Giant. So this deck focuses on bringing out really big monsters really early. If you play Twilight Drake turn 4, you can have it be like a 4-9 or a 4-10. Mountain Giant is also amazing because you can play it turn 4. If you life tap your first 2 turns, then you can play an 8-8 turn 4, and then you can easily give it taunt with like Sun Fury Protector or Defender of Argus, and that is really scary for your opponent to handle. You're about to see me play against a Shaman deck right now. I don't really play this deck a whole lot. That's why I'm not really a high-ranking player, and you can see I'm rank 13. I tend to play my Shaman or Priest deck, and those are of my own making, but I'll tell you now that I win quite often with this deck when I do play it. It is very good, so if you want to grind up, definitely play it. Alright, on the right-hand side is the deck list, so I'm just going to go over it right now. We have 2 Soulfire, as I already said. This card is great removal, but it's also great direct damage to your opponent, so you can use it as a finisher. And it also is worth 0 mana, which means it doesn't affect your turn. You can basically play whatever it is you wanted to play that turn, and then play Soulfire as a means to remove whatever pesky monster is there. And again, with Blood Mage Thalanos, that's just like really powerful. A 0 mana card that does 5 damage, that's pretty crazy. Next, we have 2 Mortal Coil. This card's also really amazing, especially with Blood Mage Thalanos. Obviously, all the spells are really great with Blood Mage Thalanos, but Mortal Coil allows you to trade more efficiently, but also you will see a lot of monsters that have 1 health being played nowadays, whether it be Ironbeak Owl, or that Priestess that's 2-1 that gives +1 health. There's different cards that are around, or a Loot Hoarder, for example. There are cards that are around right now that have 1 health, and Mortal Coil is good at handling those. And so it's just a great card at making sure you trade efficiently, but also keep hand advantage, so you have Twilight Drakes and Mountain Giants that will be more efficient because of that. Next, we have 2 Ancient Watcher. This card is really great because of the fact that it is a 4-attack monster for 2 mana, meaning Shadow Flame is really efficient with this card. But also because it's a 4/5, you can use Sun Fury Protector or Defender of Argus on it in the early game, holding off those aggro decks from just crushing you early on. So Ancient Watcher is really, really nice. You can do a lot of nice plays with it, and it's just a great early drop to make sure you don't get rushed down too quickly. Alright, next we have Blood Mage Thalanos. This card, as I've already said, is great with all your different spells except for Siphon Soul, but also it acts as a floater card. If it is to die, you're going to draw, maintain card advantage, or maintain hand advantage, I should say, so you're not losing out on cards, and therefore Twilight Drake and Mountain Giant will still be efficient. Next, we have 2 Ironbeak Owl. The reason for this is over, let's say, Spellbreaker, who's a 4 mana silence, is you want to be saving your mana for other cards in your turn. 4 mana is pretty expensive, and so you would rather be using, Mountain Giants or Molten Giants, or, playing a Sylvanas that turn or something, or, Shadow Flame or some other card that turn. So the only reason why you're running this card is it's cheap. It's a cheap silence. It's very inexpensive. and that's why I believe he opted for this card over, you know, Spellbreaker. But this card is really great because, you know, if you go against like a Sylvanas, that can be really annoying because if you play a Mountain Giant, turn 4, turn 5 comes around, they play a Sylvanas and they're trying to steal your Mountain Giant. So Ironbeak Owl allows you to silence that, or if you go against, let's say, a Tyrion, you know, Tyrion is also very annoying. So doing that is very efficient as well, getting rid of that Taunt and Divine Shield and making sure that they don't get that Ashbringer. So it's just good against a lot of, you know, different legendaries or problematic monsters or taunts and things like that. So Ironbeak Owl, really great card. Next to Sunfury Protector, I don't have to say a whole lot about this. You can put taunts on your Giants, on your Ancient Watcher, on your Sylvanas, Twilight Drakes, you know, so you can survive the early game and your opponent then is forced to trade inefficiently with your big monsters. Next, we have 2 Shadow Bolts. I don't really have to say a whole lot about this. You know, good removal card. Next, 2 Earthen Ring Farseer. You know, you will be taking a lot of damage because you use Hellfire, Life Tap, your opponent will be attacking you and be using direct damage on you, so Earthen Ring Farseer helps counter that. And on top of that, if you want to heal your Giants, if they're getting low on health and you're trying to make sure they don't die, you can use Earthen Ring Farseer to then, you know, heal those Giants so they can continue to survive and deal damage. Next, we have 2 Hellfire. This card is great at holding off against those aggro decks that try to rush you down early, but on top of that, it can be used as a means of direct damage against your opponent to finish them off. So it has a dual purpose, and I would say it's better to run 2 of these than 2 Shadow Flame because Shadow Flame forces you to destroy another one of your monsters and have that monster present to have that play set up, while Hellfire can just be played on its own. You don't need to have any sort of setup for Hellfire. But again, Hellfire, just a good means of early game removal. Next, the Shadow Flame. This card is great with Ancient Watcher, as I've already said. It's great with your Giants because you can play your Giants for really cheap. And it's just really strong removal. And plus, Shadow Flame with Sylvanas is very strong because if you Shadow Flame Sylvanas, it dies. And whatever survives the Shadow Flame, you will then take. So, really great card, Shadow Flame is. Alright, Defender of Argus. This card is also really nice. It, again, puts taunts on your creatures, buffs them up, so you can, you know, have a more efficient Shadow Flame. But Defender of Argus, again, acts just like Sunfury Protector. We have 2 Twilight Drake. This card is really nice as well because you can just keep life tapping and have a really giant Drake, and then you can just keep pummeling your opponent and trading very efficiently. Next, we have Sylvanas Windrunner. This card is great at stealing your opponent's cards and handling either big monsters or aggro decks because you just put taunt on Sylvanas and your opponent has to run everything into it and then you can steal one of their cards. So it's just a very efficient 5 mana card, probably one of the best 5 mana cards in the game right now. So just a really amazing card. Next we have 2 Siphon Soul. This is a really great removal card. It is kind of expensive for 6 mana, but still really amazing because it gives you that 3 life and it is guaranteed removal. It will get rid of, it doesn't matter if it has a, you know, like a Divine Shield or anything like that. It doesn't matter its attack or health or anything. It will guaranteed remove it and give you health. So, good card. Next, Lord Jaraxxus. This card is really great as well because, you know, you can start, for 2 mana, you can start playing 6/6 monsters, give those monsters taunt or Shadow Flame them. He has 3 attack, but also this will give you extra life. If you're really low on health, Lord Jaraxxus will help you in that scenario. Then we have 2 Mountain Giant. This card's amazing because if you have it in your opening hand and life tap, turn 2 and turn 3, you can play this card for 4 mana on turn 4. So just an amazing drop to play, and this is one of your win conditions right here. And next we have 2 Molten Giant. This card is also amazing because you're going to keep life tapping, getting low, using Hellfires, things like that. And once you're low enough, you can play Molten Giants for essentially for free, put taunt on them, and then crush your opponent. So if your opponent isn't careful and gets you pretty low, you can just play double Molten Giant, put taunts on them, and then your opponent is then essentially screwed. They have no way to, you know, stop that sort of play. So that's all from me, guys. Hope you enjoyed this deck. If you have any questions or comments below, leave them there, and please do subscribe if you liked the video. Thanks for watching.